not dead.
But then you also watched earlier that day that the other one, the one with the what was it?
Oh, yeah.
Can't remember the name of it.
Oh, Venom.
Yeah, no. I didn't see that one.
Okay, we are live, and there's just you and me.
Well, I'm not on here yet.
Oh, well, there's somebody else there then, because it says two. So,
Okay, I'm on there now.
so then he won't die. No, he
He's
didn't.
not dead,
He's not dead. Oh yeah, he's not dead.
I think.
Yeah, I think that was it. Okay, so wait for some people to join us. Of course, it is Labor Day weekend, but it's not Labor Day weekend
Maybe
around
that's
the world.
not the name of it.
It was He Didn't Die.
Yeah, something like that.
I don't know. Well, there's Virginia. Hi, Virginia. Just waiting for a few more people to join us, and then we'll get started.
He never died.
Oh. He never died. Okay. So, Virginia, how's your week been? We're on a long weekend. Not that it makes any difference these days with COVID and when you're retired, but
I think it's
Jeannie's
probably
here.
a long weekend into the U.S. as well.
yeah, I mean, hi, Jeannie. Virginia says the weather has been nice. Yeah, the weather's been nice here the last couple of days,
It's
too.
supposed to rain tomorrow, though.
Yeah. We have 6 people on. So anybody who's lurking out there, say hello. Hello, Roberta. And just our preliminary before we begin, what we are drinking. Beer again this week.
You're having a Guinness, and I'm having a Kilkenny.
Kill Kenny! Oh no! They killed Kenny! And we're having a variety of dips.
Got potato chips.
We actually have potato chips.
We never have potato chips.
Well, I'm one of those kind of people that I can just eat a few potato chips and I've had enough of them. He could eat them all, and he is,
And I don't have them in the house because I know I'll eat them.
because he'll eat them all. For me, it would be ice cream. But I've contained myself. He bought some ice cream. We've been having ice cream actually on a regular basis this summer.
That's weird for me because I usually don't eat it.
No, I love ice cream. Okay, well. Slowly people seem to be coming in. So I think we'll get started. And what we always start with. Yeah, Virginia says she just can't eat one chip either. See, I have a craving for chips every now and then. But then I wonder why. Because I'll eat 3 and that's it. Although when I was a kid, I loved potato chips. I still like them, but I just don't eat them that often. But anyways,
I
so
don't eat them because they're fattening.
well, that's why I don't eat them too. But lately, that doesn't really matter anymore.
That's obvious.
Blame it on shut up. Blame it on COVID. Pokey little pokey. The camera always puts 10 pounds on you, so you shouldn't eat the camera.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, Dana is here. Hi, Dana. Greetings from Regina, she says. Okay, so let's start with what I usually start with. My mother. Okay, I need some advice, people. For any of you that have had a parent in a nursing home, my mother has now taken, you've heard me say this before, but it's really pissing me off right now. She won't answer her phone at all. I have been trying to get her since Wednesday. I have called her twice a day at times that are not when it's meal time or anything like that, and heaven only knows she doesn't do any activities, so like her day is free. And she's not answering the phone. I let it ring 20 times. I count them 20 times because I know she has a little bit of trouble getting to the phone. But she is just not answering. And it's pissing me off because she knows it pisses me off. And she's doing it on purpose. I mean it. I really do. She does it on purpose.
I don't know if she is. I think she just won't make the effort to
Well,
get to the phone.
that's on purpose, isn't it?
No.
Uh-huh. She basically wants somebody to pick up the phone and go, "Good afternoon, the residents of Lorna Bland. Who may I say is speaking? I will see if she's available. Oh, my lady, are you available?"
Yeah, well, last time you called, somebody picked up the phone and it wasn't her. And it was, didn't she ask whether it was a boy or a girl?
Yeah. Well, she asked if it was a man or a woman. And the woman or the staff member on the phone says, "Sounds like a boy." I don't know to be insulted by that or to be flattered, whichever way. And no, Dana, do not give Walter any ideas. There will be no poking. But anyways, so I have phoned every day since Wednesday, twice a day, once in the morning, once in the afternoon, and she's not picking it up. So I texted my sister, and I said, "Have you talked to Mom this week?" And she said, at that I texted her yesterday. She said, no, she hadn't, because her son was home from Ottawa, and when he comes home, I guess,
The world stops.
yeah, pretty much. The world stops. So she hasn't called her yet. And I told her, well, I said, I keep trying and she doesn't answer again. And I said to my sister, it's pissing me off to the point where I am thinking about yanking her phone. Because if she's not going to use it, why are we paying for it? I mean, I could call the desk on her floor, and get a staff member and say, "Look, I'm trying to get a hold of my mother. Could you go into her room, make sure she's close to the phone? I'll phone back in 5 minutes." But I don't want to bother the staff with something like that. They're busy doing real stuff. I mean, my mother is capable of answering the phone. So I figure this. I'm going to keep trying until I get through. And if she opens her mouth and says, "Oh, well, I haven't heard, I thought you were dead." It's one of her expressions. I don't want to say what I think in my head in that regard. I'll say to her, "Well, I need to answer your phone." And I'm going to get the same answer I get all the time. "Well, I don't know. I just, so the phone rings and I just freeze up." Why? Come on, give me a break. And she won't give me any answer to it. It won't happen. So maybe she's happy enough not hearing from us, so let it be. I don't know. I don't know. So, hi, Nancy. So I don't know. Has anybody else ever experienced this? And if you have, did you ever solve it? Or what was your solution to the problem? Because I don't have one. And I mean, especially right now. I mean, it wasn't so bad when we could go over, and we were going over once a week and seeing her. But right now we can't do that with the COVID thing, as you know. So the only connection I have to my mother is via the phone. And if she doesn't answer it, no connection. I mean, not that there's a great deal to talk about. Because her day begins with nothing. And it ends with nothing. So... And even when we do talk to her too, or at least she does this with my sister. I haven't found it so much with me. There's a bug in here. My sister claims that my mother can't get her off the phone quick enough. I haven't really experienced that, but then again, who knows? I don't know. It's very frustrating. Roberta says, sounds like she's trying to isolate herself from the world. You know what it is with her? She has this thing, I call it the poor Lorna syndrome, where everybody's against her. "Oh, look at me, I'm so sad, I'm so lonely, I'm so like this and that and the whole bit." She's looking for sympathy, but she's not getting it. And she's not getting it because she doesn't deserve it. Remember, my mother's not decrepit. The only thing is she can't walk, and she did that to herself.
And she won't figure out how to use her wheelchair to move. And that's what the problem is
Yeah.
with the phone. She's now in a bigger room. And she isn't close to the phone, so she won't make any effort to get there.
Well, to hear my mother talk about the room, it's so small. It's just tiny, itty bitty. Yeah, right. As I said to her, are you expecting a suite? It's better than what you had before, isn't it? Well, I don't know if it is. Well, why? What's the problem? Well, it's small and the bathroom stinks. Well, geez, Mom, you don't use a bathroom, you use a bedpan. Maybe it's just the wind, when the wind blows the right direction, it's just a whiff off yourself. I don't know. Really. Hi, Catherine. Catherine says, remove her phone, don't disconnect for a week or so and see what she has to say. You can always bring it back. Well, that's an idea. But you want to know something? It won't make any difference because she goes through this poor Lorna syndrome. And Dana says, like Eeyore. Yeah. Yeah, like, oh. It's just, we look after her. She's got the best of care. And that's her problem. She's spoiled more than anything. And, you know, she's been spoiled most of her life. My father spoiled her for years and years and years. And,
I guess we didn't really realize, you didn't really realize how much your dad actually did for
no,
her.
and that's why my father's dead now. Quite literally, she drove him to an early grave. She did. Sorry to say it, but that's the reality. So I don't know what to do. And my sister's not very helpful with it either. Because when I said about the phone, I says, well, maybe if you said to her, set up like a specific time and day where you always do it the same. And I said, I do it always the same as it is now.
Well, you can always find out when she gets her pills. And then phone at that time, about that time, and keep trying until somebody in the staff picks it up.
I don't think the staff bothered picking it up.
Okay, I don't know.
Well, they're busy.
Yeah, I know.
You know, like,
Oh, shit.
I mean, there's a lot of residents in there that do not have phones, but they can't manage a phone.
Or maybe your mother's getting to the point where she can't manage it.
Well, according to her, that's what it sounds like. Well, then how else are we going to stay in contact with her?
You have to go visit her once in a while.
Yeah, but we did when it was, but
Yeah,
it's
I know.
COVID.
Yeah, I know, but you can still visit her. You can have the...
I got to do the outside thing,
Yeah.
and I got to set it up. And if they suddenly decide that she's not coming out, if she decides she's going to stay in bed, if it rains, if it pours, it's going to get to cold weather soon, and they won't bring them out at all for that. So I've had it. I'm just pissed off with the whole thing. I mean, I can't function in my own life without thinking about my mother. Call me a cruel kid, but I have a life to live too. I mean, yeah, your parents are gone. You don't have that problem anymore.
No. And we didn't have pandemic when...
No.
Though there were times where my mom was quarantined for quite a while.
Yeah, well, I don't know what to do about it.
So
So
my mom stopped answering the phone after a while, too.
yeah, but your mother had dementia.
Yeah, I know. Well, that's
My
true.
mother doesn't have dementia.
Oh.
Well, you can't. I
That's
don't.
up for debate.
Well, that's the other thing with the nursing home. I just got an online survey to do about them, and most of the stuff I filled out was all very positive. But there was one, I forget what the section was, but there was something about any suggestions, and I wrote, yeah, I call over to speak to the nurse practitioner because there's something, like I've noticed that on my mother's bill for her medical stuff, there's a whole lot of pills that aren't on there anymore. She was on a thyroid pill, she was on a cholesterol pill, she was on blood pressure pills, all that stuff. And most of her drugs are covered or partially covered, so it's not the cost of them because that's minuscule. Like she was paying like maybe $15, $16 a month for all the stuff that she was on, and now she's paying like $1.72, and it's all vitamins. It's vitamin D and calcium. So I kind of wondered about this. So I have called over, and they can't really tell me that much about it because that's the area of the nurse practitioner and the doctor. Well, the doctor I have never spoken to, and the nurse practitioner, I think I've seen her once. And that was at one of the first, or in the intake meeting with her. That was 2 years ago. I asked, okay, I know she's busy, the nurse practitioner. But I say, you know, when she has a chance, could she give me a call? Because I'd like to talk about this, and the other thing. And they say, oh, yeah, sure. I never get a call. And I'm going to be bringing that up at this year's annual care conference, too. I'm going to bring it up in no uncertain terms. I want that. I don't call often for that. It's not like I'm being a pest or anything like that, but I need to know. Now, usually they let me know when they're changing something in her medication or whatever, but then suddenly this stuff is, I've never gotten a phone call about this. So I don't know. Maybe she's still getting this stuff, but maybe it doesn't appear on this Smart Meds bill because maybe all of this stuff is covered by the government and they don't have to put it on the Smart Meds bill. I don't know. But would it kill somebody to tell me? I mean, I'm asking. So, hi Mel. Hi Andy. Catherine says, I'm same age as your mom. It puzzles me that she chooses to live like that. I hope I never get like her. Yeah. In fact, I was just talking about it today. I did an art journal session online today. I'm going to talk about that a little bit later. But one of the members of my group, I didn't realize, I thought she was only a couple of years older than me. Well, then she said that they were going to go away on a weekend. And because it was her husband's 80th birthday coming up, and she's 75. Well, I've seen her husband and I know her. I would never have guessed that either one of them were that much older than us. And still going strong. You know, they've been looking after their grandchildren for the last, and her children as well, because they had a new house or something and it wasn't quite finished, and so they kind of moved in with her. And, you know, she had little kids that she had to deal with during COVID and the whole bit. And my mother would never be able to hack that, even before. So,
Yeah, I don't know. It's really puzzling because, your sister's in-laws are both older than your mother, and they're still okay.
yeah, I know. Nancy says, I recommend you have a doctor appointment to be reassessed. Yeah, I've asked for that. I've asked for an assessment of her mental capacity as far as dementia is concerned. And they said, yep, they can do that. And they would...
And we've never heard anything.
And put a request in. Never heard any more about that. So
you can bring that up at the annual meeting because...
yeah, because that's something else there too. I mean, they're very good over there, but these are a few things that might be slipping through the cracks right now.
Mm-hmm. Like she has a doctor assigned to her. She's in a nursing home or a long-term care facility, and because she has to be, like, she basically put herself in there, and he helped her get in, but she basically put herself in there because she stopped walking.
Yeah,
She sat on the couch all day long and watched TV, and all she did was walk from the bedroom to the couch and then back to the bedroom again. She even wasn't preparing food for herself.
she was drinking Boost.
She was drinking Boost and eating muffins the last little while before she ended up in the hospital. And they didn't know that.
And it wasn't because she didn't have access to food. We were buying her food for her.
Yeah.
My sister was getting all her fresh stuff for her every week, and I was ordering online all her groceries and everything.
And she stopped eating it. She just stopped. She just stopped it. Like, all the stuff was rotten in her fridge.
I was even getting her prepared meals that all she had to do was pop them in her microwave. And she knew how to use the microwave. She'd had one for years and a whole bit. That's all she had to do. She wouldn't even do that. She wouldn't get off the couch. And that's why she ended up in nursing home, because she wouldn't get off the couch. Her legs stopped working. Muscles atrophied.
Yeah.
And I'm getting calls from I've fallen down and can't get up people. The last time that happened, she basically spent, after the paramedics got her up on the couch, they asked if she wanted to go into her bedroom. She said no. She ended up staying on the couch the whole night to sleep. She soiled herself when she was there. I went over the next day to check on her. There she was on the couch and the whole bit. And I said, you didn't want her here all night, were you? She said, yes. And she couldn't get up and she couldn't. So I phoned the paramedics. And that was very convenient because lucky.
Well, she said she wrenched her back.
She said she wrenched her back as well. They checked her out. They recommended she go to the hospital. And I said too, because she can't be like this. I said, she can't move around. I said, Mom, you're going to have to go to the hospital. And I said to her, we've had this talk before. You'll go in the hospital. You're going to be in the hospital for quite a while. And we're going to have to force the issue for the nursing home now. She was already on the waiting list and everything. And I said, because you can't look after yourself.
And even when she was in the hospital, she was in the hospital for 4 months. And even when she was in the hospital, physio tried to get her to walk several times. She had physio. And she would say to the physio department, she'd say nothing hurt her or anything, but she'd say to the physio department, oh, well, I can't do it today because I'm too tired, or she'd have an excuse. Or she kept trying not to do it, and they would force it. So after 4 months, the physio said, well, we've tried everything, and we've come to the conclusion that she's not motivated.
They came to the conclusion that I was right. I had told them since day one, if she doesn't want to do it, she won't do it. Wild horses won't make her do it. I said, there's nothing wrong with her. They turned away from me. They would not talk to me about it. They would not acknowledge that I had said this, nothing. You see, because they're medical professionals, so they know better. Yes, they do. That's what they're trained in. But when I'm telling them what's obvious, and I suppose they're figuring, well, you're just a disgruntled child or something like that, trying to pack her off to a nursing home and blah, blah, blah. No, I wasn't. And I explained that to them. I mean, the one thing that I do that sometimes gets me into trouble, and some people can't handle, is that I'll be very blunt about what I want, what I've done, and where we're going to next. I don't sugarcoat it. I'm not a diplomat. Far from it.
Well, actually, what happened is, I think,
Hi, Marilyn.
with his mother is that
Hi, Bonnie.
she was a teenage bride when she was 16.
Yeah.
So she lived with her parents till she was 16, and then she lived with his dad till he passed away. And after he passed away, she went into a deep depression. Mm-hmm. But we realized that before his dad passed away, she was beginning to stop doing mm-hmm. stuff and stuff like that. It wasn't until she actually fell and couldn't get up, and you ended up having to get her into a nursing home, that you realize that this has been happening for a while.
Yeah, Nancy says, I think people reach a point where they do not want to live anymore. They do not necessarily want to die, but they have given up on life.
Yeah.
Yes, I would agree with that, Nancy, and that's exactly what my mother is like. And you know, I will not say, I never say this, I just never want to be like my mother. You know why I don't say that? Because my mother used to say that about her mother. And she didn't have a greatest relationship with her mother when her mother was in the nursing home. In fact, she left everything up to her brother, my uncle, to look after it all. My mother only went on a rare occasion. Now, it was a further away. It wasn't as close as where my mother is now to me. But my mother would never go and see her very often. I think it was my father that actually said, well, you know, maybe we should go over and see your mother. Should go like this. And my mother would just bitch all the time about the way she is. And my mother is exactly, if not worse, than my grandmother was. And my grandmother lived to be 93. And she probably could have lived to been 100, except my grandmother decided at one point she'd had it with life. She clamped down her jaw. They could not get food into her. Nothing. She would not eat. And she passed away. And because she figured that was it. My mother won't do that. I know she won't do that because
they asked her when she went into the nursing home the standard question about if you have like a heart attack or something like that, do you want to be resuscitated?
Yeah.
And the answer for her was yes.
Yes. I thought it would be no, but no, it was yes. I don't get it. And you know, you can use all the logic and all the psychology out there on her, and you still will not come up with an answer for it. So I guess the way to look at it, or the way I have to look at it, is I do what I can do. And I said this to my sister, we do what we can do, and that's all we can do. We have lives. We must move on with our lives as well. And that's easy for my sister to do because she has children she can put all of her attention into. And, and we don't have children. So people start to think, well, yeah, well, you have all this time in yourself. You should be looking after your mother better. Oh, don't ever say that to my face, because your face will come off. Okay? Just right off. There you go. Because I look after my mother. I look after my mother more than my brother's done nothing, obviously, since he's in
He's
Vancouver.
moved in Vancouver and basically.
And my sister has done what she needs to do, but it's always, I say to her, well, Lori, can you do this or can you do that? And she does. My sister does. I'm not complaining about what my sister does, but my sister has other obligations too, which take up her time. Apparently, we don't even have a cat anymore to look after, so why not put all of our time into my mother? Well, anyways.
Oh, well, that's enough about
Yeah,
you.
it's enough about my mother. I can go on for days and days about it, and more or less it's just for my
Venting.
peace of mind. It's venting. Yeah, I shouldn't be venting on you people. Bonnie says, it's so obvious that there's depression somewhere along the line, and just because you're on medication, it might always be a cure for it. Oh, yeah.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
true.
I don't.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I think when she was on antidepressants, she did get a little bit better, but
Didn't last.
but I think you need an underlying wanting to get better type of thing. For some reason, she doesn't want to get better. So,
No.
like even with his sister said during the, not to keep this going on, but his sister said during the last assessment, how come you're bedpanning her and not taking her to the bathroom? And they said, well, we will take them to the bathroom. In fact, that's our preference. But it's at your mother's request.
But my mother doesn't want to go. She wants, I mean, I don't know if it was me. I really,
I wouldn't want to.
I really-
I don't know in that position, but I mean, I wouldn't think that I would want to be bed.
no, I wouldn't think
it's
so
one
either.
thing if you're injured to a point that you have to do that, but
But never say never, because who knows? In 10, 15, 20 years' time, I might be a really miserable old
yeah,
pig.
I know. Like, I mean, if we get, that's the other. Like, Steve's mother didn't really have any hobbies, right? That you.
No.
She used to like to read, but she stopped doing
She stopped doing that. And it's not because her eyes are bad, because she has the same
And
eyesight as I
she's-
do, exactly.
She never really had any hobbies as such.
No.
That,
She used to knit at
yeah,
one
but that
point.
was probably more something.
But that was like 50 years
that
ago.
was probably not really a hobby. That was probably more of a
She knit things for the church bazaar. She didn't do
Yeah.
a lot of knitting.
yeah.
She used to play the piano. Well, she can't do that now. But she stopped playing the piano years ago. I don't know. But anyways, let's just get off my mother,
Yeah.
okay? And Marilyn says, crafts and sewing are our obligations. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, and exactly. Too bad no hobbies. Yeah, everybody needs a hobby.
Yeah,
you
actually,
really do.
I think hobbies are doing something other than sitting around and watch TV. But
I will try, Catherine, not to become her. And then Nancy says, I think once they give up, most illnesses will kill them and nature takes its course. Yeah, but that branch of the family she comes from, those people live forever. I mean, yeah, you wouldn't believe the history of her side of the family. Like, long livers, for sure. But anyways,
my
but
dad would say, "Oh, that's women last longer than men."
you know why women last
Women
longer than men?
than men because they don't have any worries.
That's
Men
right,
have
because
all
they
the worries.
nag. the
I mean,
men
that's
down.
not true. I'm sure, but he always used to say that. I used to laugh.
Well, anyways, before we get into hot water, let's talk about pickup, where Marilyn said about hobbies. Well, we have some things to show you.
Yeah.
So Walter's been busy. Here, show your.
Well, Steve bought these house patterns on
They're embroidery.
embroidery house patterns on for Halloween. So I'm making. I made one, and I'm in the process of making another. So they take a while to stitch out. So it's a Halloween house, haunted house. You put it. You stitch them all out, and then you put it all together.
Show the back. Got a ghoulie in the window. So yeah, they're three-dimensional. You put them all together. I've done this kind of thing before. I did some Christmas things last year. So he's working on the second house, which is a slightly different design than that. And then I have another one that I'm working on, and it's a mansion. It's a big sucker.
Yeah.
And then you can light them up. There's a hole in the bottom, and you can put a tea light in them. Or what I've got is I bought these last year around Christmas time. I got the hiccups, and they run off a remote control. They're colored LEDs, and you can set them so they change colors or do one color or flash or do strobe effect and all this kind of stuff. And it looks really neat because they'll
actually,
shine through the fabric.
we have a special tool for the tabs called a hemostat, and maybe I should get it. And
Get out your medical equipment.
You pull you can pull it the tabs through the holes.
Yeah, and because they are a little tricky, you can't see it very well, but there's these little knobs, little buttons, kind of a thing that it sews, and then there's eyelets in some of the pieces, and you pull the button through the eyelet, but they can be kind of tough to get a hold of. So the hemostats allow you to clamp down on them and pull them through the hole, and then you have little alligator clips that you put on the edges of them, because as you're fighting your way around pulling the other ones through the other holes, some of them will come loose.
This is the other house that's being made, right? And I still have stabilizer on it. And there's the little tab things that are there, and there are the holes, right? And there's a hole at the bottom. Well, we have something called a hemostat, which is this big long medical device, and it opens up at the end, and you stick that through a hole and grab the tab and pull it through.
Like it grips really well.
Yeah, it has really amazing grip, and you just.
And then after you have it all together and those pulled through, you take the alligator clips off, and you put a little drop of fabric glue on each one of these, and that just keeps it together. Now, some people don't put the fabric glue on them because at the end of the season they want to pack them flat, so they take them apart. But you know, once you have the little sucker together, I can't really see taking it apart and spending half a day trying to put it back together again next year. So I said to Walter, put fabric glue on it. We'll find a place to put them off season. But somebody asked, how many in the set will you guys be making? Well, there's 3. There's this one, and then the one he's working on right now is a slightly different version of this. And then I'm working on something they just came out with in the company that we buy them from, called the Haunted Mansion, and it's big. It's much bigger.
Is it Embroidery Online that you get it?
Yeah, it's Embroidery Online is the name of the company. They're not cheap. This one was $39.99.
That's for the pattern.
That's for the pattern in US. Well, the files, because you download the files. The files are that work with your machine. Okay, they're machine embroidered. They're called actually in the hoop applique, is what they are, because there is some fabric in these.
Yeah, like the purple and the yellow at the bottom and the blue are all fabric, right? And it stitches around the fabric for you.
So when we get the other 2 done, there'll be a set of 3, and I'm going to put them. I think I'm going to put them up here on our coffee table, and I'm going to go out and get some, fake fall foliage and maybe some little tiny pumpkin things and put them around, and we'll have lights in them.
This one took 1,000 meters of black thread to do.
Yeah.
Plus a lot, the equivalent in bobbins.
Because there's areas on this which you can't really see on the camera, but some of these areas that are darker, that's a weaving of thread, and that's what allows the light to go through when you put it in there. Plus the fabric itself does end up glowing too with the light in them. They do take a lot of time. They're kind of fun to make. You have to be patient with them.
Yeah, each one of these panels, most of them took about 50 minutes to stitch out, so it took a couple of days before I got
Yeah, and there's how many panels in that? About 8
or
so. The one I'm working on has 20. So it's going to take a while. I made 4 of the panels today. And so I'm just going to blitz it this week because I'm kind of putting off quilting my Christmas tree quilt. But anyways.
Yeah, actually, Mel, I probably could do a similar house from glass. They'd be heavy, though.
Yeah, that would look kind of cool, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could do them in stained glass, too.
I have enough glass for that.
Yeah, well, there you go with it. But anyways, they're kind of fun. But what I was going to say is they are not cheap. I mean, one of these houses was $39.99 US. The second house is $29.99, and the one that I just bought, the mansion, it was on sale 30% off only this weekend alone. It was regular price, I think $49.99. Ended up costing, well, 30% off of that, whatever that works out. But that's all US dollars. So in Canadian money, these three houses come out to probably about $150.
Well, actually, Mel, these things take a little light in the bottom too. So
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I was saying before. It's a little like you wouldn't put a
well, you wouldn't
candle
put
in
a
it.
candle in it.
You guys would go, oh, want to see a haunted house
It'll
burn?
go poof.
But that's what he's been.
Actually, it's hard with glass to put candles in stained glass because the stained glass is you got to be careful how you construct it because stained glass is held together by lead, and lead has a low melting point. So
Oh.
the structure can be compromised if you get it too hot.
So as your house starts to melt down, no, Bonnie, there isn't anything cheap about machine embroidery, but it's just fun. And oh, Mel says yeah, she meant an LED candle. But yeah, so what have I been working on? Well, I'll be showing this in more detail on my vlog tomorrow, but I finally got it done. It's my Halloween wall hanging. It's all embroidered, machine embroidered.
Applique.
Or,
Right?
no, it's not. Well, there's a little bit of applique in it, yeah, but it's not all applique.
Oh, okay.
So this. Now, what was I going to say?
I don't know.
Yeah, there's 16 tiles in this. Each tile took over 2 hours to sew, and then I sewed them all together, and I put a border on it, and I backed it. I was worried about the backing because this is not a quilt per se. It does have quilting elements in it, but I was afraid that when I put the backing on it, I was only joining it around the top. I don't usually have a binding on it at all. It's one of those, when you put something inside out, sew it, and then turn it right side out, that method. I don't know if they call that a blanket
What is that, a pillow?
or pillow binding, something like that, pillowcase binding. But anyways, I was afraid that the backing fabric might all hang too loose, and I would have to do some quilting, probably stitching the ditch around each square. Well, it turned out it's small enough that I don't have to do that. Now I just have to get Walter to put up my new hanging system so I can hang this where I want to hang it. Notice I said Walter has to do that. So anyways, I'm really happy with this, and I'm doing a Christmas one. I started it a while ago, and then I put it on the back burner. Same idea, but very elegant. Now, this thing, if you go, this is an Anita Good Design pattern. You can still get it. And I looked it up the other night online. It's $69.99 American to buy the pattern, the files, basically. But I didn't pay that. It was a gift from a friend. He had the embroidery file and he gave it to me. So, and I think it had been gifted to him as well. And that's all I'm going to say about that, okay? Because, yeah, it was a gift, okay? It was gifted. Hint, hint. So that's what I've been busy working at. And I got some other stuff I'm going to show tomorrow on my vlog. Some steampunk Christmas embroidery patterns. And I'm actually doing something else with those as well. I'm going to talk about that tomorrow on my vlog.
Mel says,
Teaser.
Looks really good. She wishes she celebrates Halloween. Actually, we don't really celebrate
No.
Halloween, but
And this year,
who
there ain't
knows what's
going to
gonna
be no
happen.
Halloween. So
Which suits me just fine because I hate Halloween.
I like the decorations and things, but we don't go hog wild. In fact, this is the most that we've ever done in terms of decorating for Halloween. These
Bonnie
things.
says copyright.
Yeah. Yeah, we just keep that to ourselves, Bonnie. Okay? We say no more, lips are sealed. But this year they're talking about the fact that candy manufacturers are really uptight about how much candy they're going to sell because apparently that's their biggest time of the year, right? That and Christmas. And but other people are saying, yeah, we're still buying candy. We're just going to eat it ourselves. And that's probably what we'll do too. Because you never know. We might have somebody come to the door that night. Yeah, Catherine says we're all wearing masks every day. Yeah, Yep, Chris, a lot of work goes into them, but it's fun. It's a hobby, right? It keeps you sane. I have so many projects that sometimes I find it almost overwhelming, and then I have to say to myself, well, wait, I'm not on anybody's deadline. When I get it done, I get it done. Kind of a thing. As long as I'm enjoying it, I don't care. And I'm working on another craft project too, which you're not going to see for a while because it's a challenge with my art journal group. And speaking of my art journal group, that's a segue into them. We had a art journal Zoom meeting. We have one twice a month, first and third Sunday of every month. Now this is an extension of our actual physical group that I used to do once a month, and same bunch of ladies. And the Zoom is working out really well. What's different is we're actually not working on anything when we're doing this. We're sharing although two of them today were actually had it set up. They were at each other's house, and they were together, and they had set up the camera. So while we were on the Zoom, they were working on whatever things they were doing as well. But we share what we've been working on. We talk about products that we've used, things we like, things we don't like. It's a lot of information about stuff coming from real people, not people who are being sponsored by companies. And I post it on the YouTube channel for other people to see. I have their permission to do so. And today we had a special guest speaker. We had Carol. Carol is the owner of our local scrapbooking crafting store, Mixed Media Center, whatever you want to call it now. And she came on to talk to us about, we all know her very well. She came on to talk about, how COVID has affected her business and what she has done. And she's still going strong. In fact, in some ways, what she was telling us today, she said she's actually doing even better because she's had to embrace the technology for online sales and orders and things like that. She's moved her store away from, she still has scrapbooking supplies, of course, but she says that the demand now is in mixed media. Well, the demand for mixed media has been there for quite a while. And so she's getting a whole lot of new products in with all of this kind of stuff. So she's keeping her business fresh, which is good, because I would really hate to see her go out of business because she's the only one around here in this area. And there used to be tons of scrapbooking stores like hers, in this area of Ontario and that. And over time, they've just dropped out one by one. And that was way before COVID even. So she's kept her head above water with it all. And a lot of it is because she's embracing technology. She does classes online now. She has a Facebook group. She does a Facebook inspiration every Thursday night at 7 o'clock. And she'll ship anywhere in the world. And she has a lot of her stuff is right online to order it. She's got a good system for doing it. It works out really well because she does admit, she says she's not very technologically astute. She's gotten better. But so I thought having her on today on the Art Journal thing, I mean, we all know her, but I know that I'm going to post this on YouTube. So I thought this is good for her business as well, because there may be local people around here who don't realize she's still in business or what she has to offer. And so, doing my part to help out the mom and pops as well. And what are people saying here? Catherine says, create some unique Halloween masks to wear. It would be fun. Yeah, but I don't want to do it. Walter might.
I might.
Because he's right into doing the masks. I'm not. But he likes doing them. So, yeah, that's a possibility.
Put a spider on him or something.
A spider or,
Skull
face. I mean, I have seen some. It's not an original idea. I've seen some of them out there that look like a skeleton's mouth over it and things like that. But, fun. Might as well have fun with it. As you've been talking, Mel says about redecorating your house a long time ago. How about make quilted upholstery to your furniture? Okay, no insult to you about this idea, but right now, what I'm picturing in my mind with that would gag me. I mean, do we look like a couple of old ladies? Sorry, girls out there. But I mean, do we look like we're sitting around on a rocking chair crocheting doilies? That's what I think of about quilted stuff. I mean, I get what you're saying. about that kind of thing. But yeah, that's not my cup of tea, I don't think. But then again, Bonnie says, is scrapbooking not trending anymore? Is that why she is shifting to mixed media? Yes. Yes. And a lot more people have gotten interested in our area, mixed media, according to what she said, because she's getting more of this stuff, and some of them know who I am and have seen some of my videos and things and whatnot. Now they're starting to want more with this. So she's actually going to promote our art journal group to people in the store. And I said, they can join us. The more the merrier. I mean, we had a very limited group when we were in the store because she has a very small store. So we could only handle 8 people in the group, as far as a class was concerned in terms of room. But on a Zoom, the sky's the limit, right? So she's going to put that out there. Marilyn says, you have to keep your business fresh these days with all the competition and promote yourself with social media. Sounds like she's on the right track. Yes. But you know, it took her quite a while to get into that. She had a bit of a phobia about technology, but she's taken it on out of necessity, probably. But you know, necessity is the mother of invention. And I'm really proud of her because I was after her for a long time to get involved with social media and stuff like that. And she kind of put up some resistance because she was unsure of her ability to do so. And I said, it's not that hard once you get into it. I said, there's a bit of a learning curve, but once you're in, you're in. And she obviously has broken the learning curve. So that's good for her. Catherine says, how about a pumpkin face with missing teeth mask? Oh, her store, Bonnie, is called Class Act. You can go to her website. It's classact, all one word, .ca. Very simple. Tell her Steven sent you. Not that it'll probably get you anything, but her prices are pretty good, too. Carol does not have a huge markup on her products, and I know that firsthand because I used to do the pricing for her. So she's very, very reasonable. Marilyn asks, Walter, can you make me a drink while you're up? A virtual drink. Actually, do you like beer? This one's for you. Oh, wasn't that good? Virginia says, I've been watching the mixed media but never tried until this year. Late to the game. Mixed media. There are people who are afraid of doing mixed media. All mixed media is use what you've got. Don't be afraid to use scrapbooking supplies for card making, for doing a canvas, for making a 3D something or other, whatever. That's all mixed media is. There aren't any rules. That's why I told the people in my art journal class when I first started it, you can't make any mistakes because there aren't any rules. There aren't any art journal police. Okay? So you just go.
If you make a mess, you can throw it out.
But some people can't get into it because they have... and I was actually one of these people when I first started mixed media. I was afraid it was going to look like crap. Well, then somebody said to me, you know, it's only paper, glue, paint. If you don't like what you've done, paint over it and try again. And you know, that's very freeing. You just go. And sometimes you do make a mess. Sometimes you look at it and go, well, what was I thinking there? That didn't work. But you just move on. You don't worry about it. Yeah, you're doing it because it is a form of relaxation. It's a hobby. Yeah, you may never make it to an art gallery or major art show, or maybe you would. Actually, you've heard me talk about this before. Everybody is welcome to get into art journaling as long as you're not an art snob. If you're somebody with a fine arts degree and you believe the only kind of art that's out there is something that was painted by Rembrandt or Van Gogh or Picasso, then screw you. Because you're missing out on a whole lot of other things in there. So just, you have the permission to be free. And my ladies in my group, that's exactly what they're like. And that's what they have a fun with. It's the process. It's the journey. It's not the end product. It's the process of doing it, which is fun. And playing with new products and seeing what will happen. Like, what if? What if I did this? Well, it could be a mess. It could be wonderful. I won't know until I try.
Yeah, Bonnie says hobbies are release tension. Actually, they're kind of an escape mechanism, I guess, from everyday life. So
Yeah. I mean, so many people talk about retirement, and a lot of people are afraid to retire because they don't know what they're going to do when they retire. Good example was my father. When my father retired, he had nothing. He had lived for what he did for a living. That was his whole life. Well, luckily for him, he was so well liked and respected by where he used to work. They took him back on. And he wasn't doing what he did before because he used to climb poles. He was a journeyman lineman, a hydroman. And he couldn't, for safety reasons, do that kind of stuff anymore. But they had him do other things. He looked after the summer student program. Summer students went around and cleared bushes and junk away from those big, boxes that they usually plant in the most horrible spot of your yard. You move into a new subdivision and you've got this nice little boulevard and everything with a tree on it. It looks great. Then when it comes to closing time, suddenly they show up and they plant one of these transformer boxes right there in your boulevard, and they're ugly. And so what people try to do is paint them, and that's against the law. And they try to plant bushes and flowers around them. And so my father, and I think my father took a little sadistic pleasure in this, the summer students' job were to go around to all of these boxes and repaint them if there was stuff painted on them that shouldn't have been there, and dig up the flower bed and the little bushes. And that's what they did. They dug them up because that was not the people in the houses, their property. It belonged to the Public Works Department, to the PUC. And they had every right. And my father had to troubleshoot a lot of that. And my father was really good because my father was very much a fairly diplomatic man. Everybody loved my father. I think I tend to be a little bit more like my mother. Ooh. With it. Like I said, I'm not a diplomat. But yeah, that's what he did. But he had nothing else. And then finally they got to the point where he just couldn't do that anymore because my father had trouble walking. And it wasn't because he didn't want to walk, but he had...
Well, not only that, he started getting dementia.
Yeah.
And it started becoming a little unsafe.
Yeah, it was unsafe for him in that. So there he was, and he'd sit at home all day, and he went downhill real fast.
Yeah, after he lost the job.
Yeah.
He couldn't handle that. But that's because he didn't have any other hobbies. He tried to muddle around on the computer, but he didn't do that well. So
No, he just didn't have anything else, and he wasn't a reader, and it was kind of sad. I mean, I knew that when I retired, I had no worries about what I was going to do.
now people ask me, "Well, what are you going to do when you retire?" And I said, "Well, I got lots of things I can do." So
And what do you do most of the day?
sit around and watch.
And sit around and read stuff off the internet.
Yeah, well, no, I do that, but I still do other things.
Yeah, because I got you into sewing.
Yeah, well,
I pushed it on you. You didn't like quilting, but we found something you kind of liked, the embroidery. You should go back, and you always say, I should get back into stained glass.
but I still do other things. Like I like doing stuff.
Yeah, he likes making bread, cooking my dinner, getting my wine,
I'm glad I'm not working.
putting up my things that I want. I have a
Driving Miss Daisy.
driving Miss Daisy. I have a new project for him now. I've decided that I need more places to hang quilts, and so
I gotta.
we've come
look
up with
at
an
what-
idea. I'll show you the idea if it ever comes to fruition, which it will next week. We'll have to start looking for the things that we need. But basically, it's to build a couple of quilt ladders, but one's not the kind, like I have a quilt ladder, but it's full, and I paid $200 for it from a guy at a show that made them, and that we're looking at something a little more simplistic for where I want to put things. But anyways, stay tuned for that.
Yeah, actually, I do like stained glass. I still have a lot of supplies, and I should maybe do stuff. It's the problem is I don't have a project in mind that I really want to do right now. So
Yeah, like Virginia says, I was ready for retirement. Work always took me away from my hobbies. At least with teaching, I had summer for hobbies. Yeah, that's what I had too. And Chris says, Walter, you should get back into stained glass. You're a glass artist. Yes, he is, and he should. But he needs to make an area for that. And
yeah,
I keep sort of pushing a little bit further
He's
into his
encroaching
workshop.
into my workshop.
It's been part of my master
I have to
plan.
clean up my workshop. It's really
Yeah. Let's see. There's a cry that I've heard like how many times a day?
I need to start. I have to throw out a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, we got a lot of stuff around here we
But
need to
I have
throw
to
out.
do that.
Yeah, we need people to do that for us. We need midgets.
We have a crawl space full of stuff.
Oh,
too.
that we need midgets for to get in there to do that. Bonnie says, most important thing to do is what makes you happy. It's called living the dream. Yep, exactly. So, anyways, yep. So the art journal group went good today, and lots of ideas there. So it's going to be up. It's probably up already because when we started this, I compiled it and was uploading it to YouTube. So it's probably there already. We did Craft and Chat this week. Craft and Chat, as you know, is another Zoom meeting that I host. It's the first Wednesday of every month, so we just had that this week. And it's open to anybody and to any kind of craft or art. Everything from sewing, quilting to, whatever you're doing. It doesn't matter what it is. And I got to do a shout out to Jeannie because she's on here. And Jeannie's been working on learning how to do watercoloring and sketching. Yeah, learning. She's got definitely
Is it Jeannie or is it Andy?
or was it Andy? I think it was Jeannie. Jeannie, where are you? Are you still on here? Speak to me. Oh, that was Jeannie. Might have been Andy. No, I think it was Jeannie. Oh, that's Andy. Oh, sorry. Well, you're brilliant in your own way too, Jeannie, with your quilts, because Jeannie showed some quilts that she's making too. Andy's doing these journals, and she's doing sort of nature studies in them. They are absolutely gorgeous. They're basically her workbook. She's not using them to create a journal per se. She's using it to record how she's learning how to sketch and watercolor stuff. They are absolutely beautiful. They are like those botanical art pieces you see, the from naturalists who do, the very elaborate sketches of nature. And I said to Andy, you should scan your pages. They would make great background papers for mixed media, for scrapbooking, for album making. And somebody else on there, and I think it might have been, and she's on here, I think. Is Nancy on here today? I thought I saw Nancy on here.
Yeah, she was at the top.
Yeah. I think it was Nancy who suggested that Andy should put these up on Etsy. Have an Etsy store, because she would sell them. They were absolutely beautiful. But not just what she was doing. Everybody that was on there was showing the different things that they were doing, and all of it was interesting. All of it was beautiful and inspiring. Really. I mean, so it's...
And that's actually really good when you like when I used to go to stained glass classes and stuff. What was nice is to see what other people were doing, and you get ideas from that.
Yeah. And that was it. Yeah, Catherine says her sketching in watercolor is brilliant. Yeah, it was. And Chris says, I'd buy them. I love botanical watercolors. Yeah, they're just so amazing. And she does, Catherine, have a God-given gift because, like she was saying, she's taking this class online, and the person that's teaching the class says, anybody can learn to draw. It's just practice. I don't believe that. I believe you have to have a glimmer of talent in you that you build on. I can't draw anything, nothing. If my life depended on it, even my stick figures look like they've been run over by a bus. I can't do it. And people say, well, if you practice. And I think I said to somebody, yeah, that's my problem. I don't practice because it frustrates me. So, I mean, if I was more dedicated and I really wanted to learn how to do this, I would do that. But I don't. I have other interests. But that's the thing about...
Nancy just replied.
Yeah, Andy's work reminds me of Edith Holden. Yeah, it's just beautiful. It is. Yeah, Catherine, exactly. I could practice for years too and I wouldn't get it. But you should check it out if you haven't. Yeah, I've put the recorded version of it up on on my channel. It's really worth the watch because now I blew something in it. I decided I was going to talk about and demonstrate the resin by Ranger, and I did. And then I realized I hadn't pushed the button to record that part. So after everything was over, I re-recorded that part and connected it into the main video. So it's there. It just wasn't as I had done it exactly with everybody else. But that's the thing. But I'm looking for other people to talk about products they're using. And the good, the bad, and the ugly, too. I mean, I think you get a more honest view of how a product works by people who are actually using it, not from people who are selling it. And even some people who aren't selling it but are sponsored by the company, they're not going to tell you honestly what they think of something. And
It's a piece of cock.
yeah, but so I would encourage other people to, if they can, join us. The next one is October I want to say the 6th. It's whatever the first Wednesday is in October. That'll be our next one. It's at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I know, of course, like people like Chris, that's an impossibility for you at that time. And other people are working possibly too. So, but that's why I put the recorded version up. So you can still see it and be part of it that way. Mel says, everybody can learn to draw with a certain limit. That is true. As long as you say, I can't do it, this or that, you won't learn anything. I hear that all the time, but
Actually, I think I don't draw. I don't draw well. I think I have a hidden talent that I could draw if I put my mind to it.
Yeah, actually, I think you probably could.
I have not done that. I don't have a big motivation to draw, so.
Maybe that's, yeah. Maybe you're right. You can learn to do anything, but you have to have the motivation. I don't have enough motivation to sit down and seriously learn how to draw. I have so many other things that I can work with that pull me in that's one of those things I just leave. And it's funny, I come from two grandparents, one on both sides of my family that had artistic ability in like drawing and in painting. That I did not inherit at all.
Well, I know I have some hidden talent because when I was in kindergarten and I was 6, they had us draw something on a page, and I drew this moonscape in 3D. I was 6 years old.
Oh.
And like I found it, I don't have it anymore, but I found it years later. I was cleaning up my parents' attic and I looked at it and I thought, that's pretty darn good for somebody that was 6 years old.
Yeah, Marilyn says, I tried to join but still working and had to get off, but in a few months we'll no longer be working, so we'll be on full time. Okay, yay, we look forward to that, Marilyn. Yeah, maybe it's a hidden talent inside of me. It's just never come to the surface because, as you said, I lack the motivation for it. I mean, I envy it. When I saw what Andy was doing, I went, oh, I wish I could do that. But it's still not enough for me to get motivated to learn. So, yeah.
Like my grandfather, my dad's father, was an artist. He was a painter, but he painted walls and stuff like that, right? But he also did art painting as well. So,
well, I think some of my apprehension comes from I loved art in school. I never took it in high school, though, and I regret that. And this is why I didn't. In grade 8, I had this teacher. His name was Mr. Cross, and it suited him because he was always angry. He was a miserable old sucker. I don't know why he was in teaching, because he was a lousy teacher. But we're sitting in art class, and he'd come around and look at whatever everybody's working on. He'd look at the person on the right of me and go, that's lovely. I love how you caught the perspective. That's really nice. He'd look at the person on the left. That's lovely. I love your color choice. That's really dynamic. He'd look at mine. He'd go silent for a moment and he'd go, yuck. He'd actually say that. Yuck. He was a teacher. One of the golden rules you learn as a teacher is you never ever say something negative, blunt to a kid. You use constructive criticism. Like he could have said, "Okay, are you happy with this? Um, what is it if you had a chance to redo this? What might you improve on it? What would you think you should improve?" And then afterwards, you can go down the staff room and go, "You never guess what that kid was drawing in there. It's just yuck." But you don't say it to a kid. And then I remember applying, like you had to figure out your timetable for high school, and you had to go around to all your grade 8 teachers, and they had to sign things for you, so that the school would know, the guidance counselor, that, yeah, you go into it. And art was an optional course in high school those days. And I wanted to take art. So I went to him, and he goes, "I'm not signing that." And I went, "Why?" He says, my boy, don't ever take art again. You suck. You don't have any artistic talent. It's a waste of your time. It'll be a waste of the teacher's time. I took that to heart, and I never took an art class again in my whole life. And I still remember that, and that's the power of teachers, right? In there.
He didn't have any right to say that.
No, he didn't. He did not.
And the other thing, and you know what? I still think some people like art teachers. He probably was an artist himself.
Well, I saw some of his work, and too.
It's like home ec teachers can't cook.
Yeah, true. That's true.
Not true, exactly.
Yeah, well, most of the ones we know.
I've seen a few teachers that are culinary arts teachers that can't cook.
Yeah.
I mean, there are a few that do. They do it real well, but I've met a few that don't know how to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly, Catherine, or Marilyn. He was an a-hole. He shouldn't have been a teacher. He shouldn't have been. But anyways, when you're 13 years old, someone does that to you, it's life-altering. And I always was interested in making things. And now I guess people call themselves, a lot of people that do, different types of crafts, they call themselves makers. I call them artists. I don't know why they call themselves makers.
It's funny because we worked for the art gallery for a while.
Oh, yeah.
And a lot of the people that worked at the art gallery are only into fine art. And basically, what they view as art, I don't know what they view as art, because there was some stuff that ended up in the art gallery that I would say was nice art, and then there's other stuff that could have been classed as crafts, but because somebody was considered an artist that did the craft, then suddenly it becomes art.
Yeah.
So I don't understand where their definition of art is. And I've seen what a lot of people do in crafts, and putting something together they take nothing, they take pieces of paper and stick them together, and it looks amazing. And to me, that looks art. To me, that's art. It's something.
Well, depends on how broad you want to go with the definition of art. And people who study fine art in university tend to have a very narrow perspective of art, which I think is a shame, because they're missing out on a whole world of
creative
endeavors
that are an art of some form.
Yeah, Mel says, I have creative people and professional artists in many generations, but the most important thing has been that people have always encouraged you to try whatever art form you're interested in. Yeah, and I don't think you should ever narrow your definition of art. I mean, when we were working in the art gallery,
they were art snobs.
They were art snobs because, first of all, if it was an oil or watercolor or photography, it wasn't art. They did not consider the paper arts to be arts. They didn't even really consider textile art as art.
Okay, but when we were there were some textile pieces there, but because it was done by an artist,
it was somebody that already made a name,
classed as an artist, then suddenly it became art.
It was somebody that already had a name.
Yeah,
and so they jumped on the bandwagon. This is art.
And then remember, there was one that was what was it? The paint skins. off of you've done it before.
Oh, what?
right?
Acrylic skins, yeah.
Acrylic skins, and you've done stuff like that
Yeah.
before. And it was in the art gallery, and it was art.
Yeah.
But if
Because it was a known
if
artist.
he had brought it in, they'd say, "Oh, that's
not art.
That's not art."
Because I didn't have credentials. You know, I didn't have people
There
writing
was
about
a guy
me or an
that
art
worked
show.
as that was a volunteer at the art gallery, and he showed some of the stuff that he did to the curator.
Yeah.
And because he wasn't a big name or anything like that, his stuff was nice. And because he wasn't a big name or anything like that, she poo-pooed it and said that wasn't art.
Yeah, but luckily at the art gallery in the town next door to us, they gave him a show. So he got his stuff on display because his stuff was great. It was wonderful.
Yeah, but the art gallery that we went to, they didn't.
No. You know, and there's something ironic about it because we live in Oshawa. Oshawa is not the cultural center of the world. In fact, it's far from it.
It's a blue collar factory town. It isn't anymore as much because the factory closed.
Mm-hmm.
But its roots are a blue collar factory town, and then they've got a little art gallery in the middle of the factory town, and they're a bit of a snob. So.
And if you came to Oshawa and you walked down the main drag of it, you'd be running very quickly back to your
it's
car to
located in
get out of it.
downtown Oshawa, and it's downtown Oshawa is not in this
Because
place.
it's filled with a lot of scuzz. The downtown is
it's
scuzzy.
filled with a lot of no people that are on social assistance. Put the best way to put that.
You know,
And
Your bag people.
and people that are
and drug addicts.
drug addicts and
And
stuff
hookers.
like that. And hookers.
And ironically, there's this art gallery. And the people that work there, for the most part, most of them are art snobs. So there you go. So moving on from art, some disturbing news. And now this is, I'm leaning into the COVID thing, and we've already, so I'm not going to be able to say as much about what I want to say about today, but that's okay. So we walked into Ultimate Sewing. Was it yesterday?
Bonnie talked about the tragedy in Oshawa.
Oh, the big tragedy. Yeah, I don't want to get into it because they still don't have all the pieces together, but essentially a guy came in and killed his relatives and then himself and left like his sister and one of her children alive. And the only reason he shot her in the leg.
And actually, it was a family.
I don't want to get into this.
Oh well, nobody's going to say, well, what happened if you haven't said it.
Well, okay,
so I'm
fine.
just briefly going to say it was a family. They had 4 kids, right? And they lived in our city. And the brother of the wife came from another city in Canada and shot the husband, 3 of the kids dead, and the wife in the leg. And the 4th kid was off at school. So the 4th kid survived because he wasn't present. And rumor has it, but I don't know if that we haven't heard anything concrete about it, but there was a dispute, what do you call it? A dispute of the will from the father that had passed away a year before. That's all we know.
That's all we know right now. And it's very much a tragedy. And the reason he didn't kill the woman, his sister, was he wanted her to feel what it was like to lose everything. Because apparently he'd been left out of the will of his father and he was...
Well, we don't know that for a fact, but we suspect.
Well, that's what they've been...
But basically the guy has had mental problems all his life,
Yeah.
and he basically was not, didn't have a great job in Manitoba, and basically was kind of down and out. So I suspect he was ticked off that, I don't know, he must have been ticked off that his sister got stuff from the will and he didn't.
Yeah,
So
but that's all we know right now. They're still
Yeah.
working on the case because this just happened
it just happened a couple of days ago. That's
yesterday.
all. It's a big shock for the city because that stuff doesn't.
That
happen
doesn't usually happen. I mean, Oshawa's kind of scuzzy downtown, but it's a pretty safe place to live. And, you know, only the downtown is kind of scuzzy. I mean, the area we live in, the other areas, I mean, every town has its scuzzy parts, right? But Oshawa, for the most part, is a fairly decent place to live. You just don't go downtown with it. And so, anyways, that was that. Yeah, it's sad, and everybody's sort of reeling from it because this doesn't happen that often in, well, if ever, in Oshawa. Anyways, another thing that is kind of negative about Oshawa, but this could be about people in general. We were in Ultimate Sewing on Friday, or was it Saturday?
No, Saturday.
Yesterday.
I was in there. Yeah.
Yeah, you went in. So, there are little mom and pop store. You've heard me talk about Ultimate Sewing and everything. They're great. We love them in there. The staff are excellent, the whole bit. Well, then you said to one of them, Donna was working in the classroom area doing something. She's one of the employees. They all have their masks and everything. But she said to you something like, oh, you caught me with my mask down or something.
Or she was way in another room.
Yeah, another room. She wasn't around
by
people.
herself. And so she went to come to the till and she quickly put her mask on and type of thing. She says, we don't need another complaint. And I guess they have had complaints about
saying that the store is overcrowded, that the staff aren't wearing protective stuff, blah, blah, blah. Well,
anytime we've been in there, they've been wearing protective stuff. And even when I was in there the other day, Donna was way in a room that was, one of the ladies was way in the room, way by herself. And yeah, so she took her mask off there. So, and then when she came back out, she whipped it right back on again to attend to a customer.
The point he's trying to make is she was not within anybody's, in harm's way of anybody when she was doing this. She was, around. So, and anytime we've been in the store, they have been doing it to the T. They only let so many people in. It's a small store. Most times you have to phone for an appointment and you're given a specific time, and that's when you go in. If you're a walk-in, they'll meet you at the door. They will determine whether or not, like if there's nobody in the store at that point, sure, come on in without an appointment. If they're already at their limit, then they'll say, we're at the limit. So once these people have left, you're more than welcome to come in. And they do all of that. I mean, what more can they do? So they've had people complain, apparently. I don't know how many have done this, but here's the point that gets me. Everybody knows everybody in this store. Customers know other customers pretty much because we've all taken classes together. Everybody knows the staff knows all of us. It's like a family in many, many ways. One of the reasons why I like the store so much, because you feel like you're part of something. It's not like walking into a Walmart or something like that. How dare these people turn around and stick a knife in the back of the staff and the owner of this store? These are people that have bent over backwards to help customers out with whatever problem they might have. They've gone way further than they need to help. And then people do this to them. That, to say the least, is just hurtful, but more so, could have serious consequences. I mean, do you want to see a quilt store, like I'd say to these people, go under because of your actions?
Well, actually, and she was sort of saying that it seems like the powers that be in the health community that coordinate or police this seem to be picking on small businesses more so than Walmarts or Home Depots or something like that. Because we were in Home Depot the other week, and several of the staff were wearing masks, but they had them pulled down so that their nose was exposed, which is the wrong way to wear a mask. And nobody's around telling them, hey, you got to wear your mask properly. So
nobody was counting people as they were coming in. Nobody was standing by. They had a thing of hand sanitizer with a sign that says, use hand sanitizer. But they had nobody standing there making sure you used hand sanitizer. And they're not getting, the authorities aren't going after them. Why are authorities going after the mom and pops? The mom and pops are probably being much more rigid. And I know Ultimate Sewing is. I know that for a fact. I mean, I'm there enough that I know.
Yeah, like I've never seen them without a mask serving people and stuff like that. So I don't understand why there's there's this big conspiracy or somebody seems to have it in for them or something.
Well, and this is not politically correct to say, but the majority of their clientele are women. And I have heard from other women that women can be nasty to other women. So, yeah, I don't know. I do think of some of the personalities I've run into in classes, though, and I could see that won't take much to tick them off. I mean, if you look at them sideways, they want your head on a platter. So, I don't know. But I just think it's just a shame that they should be doing something like this, especially when the help there have been extremely helpful, and even more so during what's going on right now in the whole bit. Chris says, horrible for people to do that type of thing. I could be paranoid. Maybe big businesses are trying to affect small business by falsely reporting small businesses. Well, never thought of it that way, but that's a possibility. But anyways, we're getting close to the end of our time, and there is something I need to say and I want to say. And it was the theme of today, but we're not going to get into it that far. And yes, it's about COVID and it's about back to school. And being a retired teacher and the whole bit, you know exactly where my heart lies, and it's with the teachers who have not really been consulted about all of this. Now, anybody who really thinks in my province that all the things that the government supposedly has put into place and what the school boards have put in place thinks that the kids are going to be safe is full of crap. They are not safe. The schools will be closing down. Mark my words. There will be cases in under 2 weeks. There's already cases in some of the schools in the States where the kids have COVID. Right now in Ontario, 62%, today's statistic I heard on the news, 62% of the cases of COVID are now coming from people under the age of 40. And out of that 62%, over 30-some% are young people under the age of 19. Okay, so that whole thing about like it seemed that children were resistant to COVID is malarkey bullshit. They can get it. And they're little transmitters as well. Keeping class sizes down. No, the government has not done that in our province. An average elementary school classroom is still going to have anywhere between 25 to 30 kids in it. A high school one supposedly be 15. It'll be more than that. It will not be 15. So there'll be social distancing. The desks will be put 6 feet apart. You cannot physically do that and get that many people in a room.
Yeah, the rooms are pretty small.
Schools are built purposely to be undersized for the population. That's why when a new school goes up, even before the doors of a brand new school are open, there are portables
Well,
out
not
there.
only that, some of the new schools were designed so that kids shared a desk.
Yeah, for group learning and all that kind of stuff. So there's not the distancing in there. Teenagers, what I taught, are rebellious at the best of times. There will be at least one kid in a teacher's class who's going to saunter in one day wearing the mask hanging off one ear. And then the teacher has to deal with that. Put on your mask, please. The kid will look at it and go, oh, and then they'll put it here or just here. They will do that. How do I know that? Because we had a no hat rule. I spent most of my bloody day when I should have been doing more important things telling kids, take off your hat. Take off your hat. Take off your hat. And then the other thing was, put away your cell phone. Turn off your cell phone. Give me your cell phone. All of that. So what do they think is going to happen with the masks? The same thing. A teacher's job is to teach. A teacher's job is not to police. But unfortunately, that's exactly what that is part of their job now, whether they like it or not. So they're going to be wasting a lot of time and energy on all that kind of stuff. How does a teacher teach? There's something called what's in your face. I had a great ability to control a class with one bloody look. The kids used to refer to it as, oh my God, there's fire coming out of his eyes. And they'd be going, shut up, say nothing, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. And then one would do it, and they'd come back in a little dustpan full of ashes back on their desk. So it wasn't just a legend, it was a reality. And that's how a lot of teachers teach. You teach with this, a face. Half your face is removed. So they can't read your lips anymore. They can't see the expression. And that's part of what it's like to teach. You entertain. You have to be, I was told once, you're 75% entertainer, 25% educator. Because if you can't keep the little buggers interested, they're not going to learn anything. They'll tune you out because they're really good at that. All this money our government keeps saying, well, they've put $750 million back into the school system. To do what? That doesn't, okay, hire more teachers. How do you get more teachers? How's that going to make class sizes smaller, only on paper, if you don't have the physical space? Where are you going to set up the classrooms? In the hall? Someone suggested, I think it was him, well, they could put them in the gym. No, they can't. Because the phys ed teachers are going to get pissed off because that's their program and that's their classroom. How do they do phys ed? Oh, sure. In the nice months, which we have very few of in this country, in September, they can probably go out and run the track, play their football, that kind of stuff or whatever. But come late October, early November, when it's freezing cold out there, they can't do that anymore. So here the kids are trapped between the government, the teachers' unions. The teachers' unions, I have not heard them yet come up with a solution to this problem because there isn't one. So the teachers' unions are trying to protect the teachers by going after everything the government suggests that should be done. And mind you, I think they should because the government hasn't come up with anything. And then there's the parents. Now, the parents a couple of months ago were going on, well, I want my child back in school. They need to be back in school for their mental health and this. Now the parents are all going, oh, I don't know if I want Johnny or Janie to be back in school because they could get COVID and kill us all and whatnot. Make up your mind. Might be a commitment. Maybe you'll have to keep them at home and do homeschooling. Maybe you have to keep them home because there's in our province, there is access to virtual learning out there. So the kids are caught in the middle, but it's only going to be for a short time because they're going to get it and they're going to spread it. And it doesn't matter how much deep cleaning they're going to do, if the kid even gets to school, because the bus drivers are all quitting because they're not being given enough protection.
Yeah, we have a friend that's a bus, or somebody we know is a bus driver, and he quit this year. So,
is there a solution to this? Well, I don't know what it is, except I do have a suggestion. And the suggestion was take all your goddamn money the government has, put it into e-learning, create a program whereby those people who can't afford computers can get one for nothing, and an internet connection. Put your money into that and not into this so-called, that schools can use it whatever way they see fit. Well, it's a little late. And they're not getting all the money until the middle of September. And then it's too late. I mean, you just can't suddenly go, okay, we need more classrooms. Let's put them up. Yay. Not going to work. Ventilation systems aren't right in schools. I worked in a school once, a brand new school, and we were hermetically sealed for freshness. We could not open Pine Ridge.
yeah.
We could not open windows. Physically, we could not open windows. They were sealed tight because we had some kind of state-in-the-art ventilation system. And just as an aside, we were located very close to a nuclear power plant, and apparently they had done this with this new school because they could shut all the vents and everything in case of a nuclear meltdown. Yeah, bend over, kiss your ass goodbye. Basically, that's the only solution to that one. But, so there are schools that are built like that. No air conditioning. In some of the older schools, there's no air conditioning. And, September can be a hot month, too. So you have all these sweaty little kids in there
Wearing
masks and going, I can't breathe. And I can see the little ones, the really little ones. They're just going to be pulling them off back and forth. They're going to be touching everything. They're going to be touching each other. And in the high school kids, I can see their argument. They'll be out in the hallways doing what high school boys do most naturally with their girlfriends, pressing them up against a bank of lockers and sticking their tongue down their throat. And if the teacher goes, do not touch. I can. She's in my bubble. She's my girlfriend. She's in my bubble. Yeah. What do you say to a bubble? got a big pin, prick, bang, bye-bye. So, anyways, I could talk a lot more about this, but right now I'm feeling really bad for all my teacher friends. I'm feeling really good that I'm not going into a classroom and that I'm retired and don't have to deal with this. But mark my words, at least here in the province of Ontario, Canada, schools are not going to be open that long. No. Unfortunately, the reason they're going to be closed down is because of what they are contributing to the second wave. So, this is something that we could talk about for days. We're all sick and tired of this stuff, but I had to say it because it is something right now that is closest to my mind and my heart because of what I was. So, anyway, so endeth the lesson.
What were you?
I was a teacher. What were you? A lump on a stump. I don't know. What's Chris say? And Chris says, yeah, our age group shifted as well. Younger people refusing to care and be safe, thinking they were immune or invincible. And that's natural for young people, isn't it?
Yeah.
Didn't we all go through that when we were younger? We thought we would live forever. We were invincible. That is part of the journey of being youth. But right now, that's not a good thing.
Dana says she's already seen a cartoon where boy comes home with a different mask. They exchange them in school.
I saw that one too. Yeah. Oh, look, I like Johnny's mask better and he liked mine, so we changed. Yeah, no. No. But they're kids. Kids are going to do that. Their minds don't work like an adult's mind, okay? We know that. But apparently the government doesn't know that. Yeah, California schools, Ann says, are already in session. Remote.
That's probably
Mode. Yeah. You know, I think really what's remote learning for the kids. You know, I think that's the future of education. It's inevitable. I mean, if people can work from home, you can learn from home too. For the first generation of kids going through a school system that's remote learning, there's going to be, you know, a lot of pitfalls along the way that have to be overcome. I was going to say there's going to be a steep learning curve, but that almost sounds kind of funny to talk about a learning curve when you're doing education, but there is, but whatever. But I think after this is all over, I think the way that we're used to traditional education, I think it's going to be altered majorly, and it's going to involve remote learning. And in a generation, it'll be the norm out of it, and everybody will be used to it. But for now, well, what can we do? Stay away from children, okay? They're little disease bags. Stay away.
They always are.
Yeah, they always are. At the best of times, they always are. At the worst of times, even more
Little
so.
carriers.
But anyways, on that note, and Ann says, they made the teachers work from the school. There has to be an outbreak at several schools amongst staff. Yeah, already I've heard of two schools in another region west of us where even the school hasn't gone in yet, but the teachers have been in preparing, and 2 teachers already have been detected with COVID. So now they've had to go and deep clean the whole school again and check out who they've come into contact with and all that stuff. And that's even before the little disease bags walk in the front door. And I love it. Our premier went to a school and showed how it was all set up. And it was not a school, it was a community school. It's a private school, in other words. And yeah, there's no kids in there. And so they were showing what they would do the first day. So the staff, the administration is standing with their masks on at the front door of the school. There's arrows down the hallway showing kids, you know, you walk this way or you walk that way. Oh, God, no.
I mean, the grocery store has arrows, and I still walk down the wrong aisle.
Well, kids pay no attention to that. Plus, again, the physical building itself, if you've been in a school, the hallways are not wide. They're even more narrow than what's in a grocery store, basically. To walk down. And the kids congregate. They stand beside each other. They're with their friends, their bubble, the whole bit.
You see it while we drive around to go to the store here or something. You'll see a group of 15 kids together.
Yeah.
Now.
No masks.
No masks or anything like that. So
you're not all from one family. You know. Unless mommy had several daddies or daddy had several mummies. I don't know in there. But whatever. But the other thing that what I was saying about this too, and now I lost my train of thought. Where was I
Kids
going?
congregating.
The kids congregating, going.
Balls are skinny.
I don't know. Yeah, but that was I digressed from what I was talking about before.
Yeah.
Old timers. But yeah, Mel, we're going too. So nice to see
Yeah.
you. So, anyways, I guess we just have to learn to survive, get ready for the second wave, have lots of toilet paper, hand sanitizer, and masks on hand. Okay, that's because I mean I hate to say it. I wish I hope I'm proven absolutely wrong. I would. Anything would make me happier than to be proven wrong about that. But I'm not. I'm right. Oh well, whatever. Anyways, on that note, check out the vlog tomorrow. I'm going to share some crafty things on there plus some other things that are new. Probably do an idiot quilter later in the middle of the week. And of course, as always, Stephen and Walter live. We'll be live again next Saturday or next Sunday, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Be there, be square.
Stay safe.
Stay
everybody.
safe, stay in,
Have a good week.
stay away from children. Bye, y'all.
Bye.